This is a virtual gallery / exhibition space that I made in Unreal Engine 5. I initially wanted to make an exhibition about endless summer, but because of licensing issues, I decided to make it about a documentary I made a few years ago. But this is actually closer to a proof of concept. I wanted to see if I could build a virtual exhibition space relevantly, quickly and easily. So I could potentially swap out all these photos and display pieces for other things like artworks, sculptures, whatever you can think of. I think this would be good for making any virtual exhibitions or museum spaces, and maybe even portfolios for 3D artists. So here I am using the built-in modeling tools in Unreal Engine. This was the first time that I used this tool, so I was figuring things out as I went. I found if you use the Cube Grid tool in the modeling plugin, you can sculpt out any rectangular shapes really easily and quickly. So I used this method to sculpt out the basic shapes of the structure. As I progressed further down the project, I kept adding things to this basic structure and modifying it. So as you can see, I added a cross-shaped opening in the roof. Admittedly, this was inspired by the Church of Light, which is a famous architectural piece. I think there was an Unreal Engine project that replicated the Church of Light as well. I don't think this kind of structure will hold up in reality, obviously because weather will be a big factor. But we are in a virtual space, so that's okay. As you can see, I am primarily using the Cube Grid tool in the modeling plugin, which I think is barely touching the surface of its potential. But even by just using this basic function, I could make a fairly good looking structure quickly. So here I am playing with some textures to put on the wall. It was just going to be a concrete wall, so I didn't worry too much about the UV of the meshes. But I did have to spend a fair bit of time working on the materials to get rid of the tiling. I tried different methods to give variations to the material, but in the end I was still not happy with what I ended up with. Looking back at it now, I think UV wrapping was more of a problem than the material, but I didn't realize this at the time, and I chose to just vertex paint the material on the wall and the floor, so I could give variations manually. So I remeshed the floor and the walls, because you need a fair amount of vertices for vertex painting. So I created a blend material out of 3 different materials for the wall, and a blended material out of 2 different materials for the floor. I also adjusted the roughness on the floor so that it's slightly glossy. Here I am starting to paint on the floor, so it breaks up the tiling a little bit, and on the walls as well. After I did the vertex painting, I remembered that I needed to add some bevels to the edges. So I went around the whole building adding bevels to every edge I could find. Of course, the main source of light here is the directional light, which is the sun and the environment. But I did want to add some interior accent lighting. So I placed 4 rec lights behind some meshes. Using the Cube Grid tool again, I made some frames for what I was going to display. I made a frame back, and the mesh for the glass material. After I made the frames, I needed a material to display the JPEG images that I wanted to display as texture. This was actually a lot harder than I initially thought. I had to control the tiling and the offset in the material to display the textures properly. So I ended up just copying a picture frame material from an Archviz project, which was freely available in the Epic Marketplace. So after sorting that out, I just copied the frames multiple times and swapped out the textures to display different photos. So again, with the Cube Grid tool, I made an enclosure to display 3D objects, and then I imported some assets from Sketchfab to put on display. This time, using the Poly Extrude tool, I made a centerpiece of my logo and then applied a metallic material from Megascans. And then on the wall and on some plinths, I added some 3D text. This was using the 3D text plugin. I added another section to the building, which was going to be a video screening space. But I found out the function I wanted to use in the web widget wasn't working in Unreal Engine 5.0. So as a workaround, I displayed more screenshots and some sound cues in the environment as well. I did publish this as an executable, so you can download it and have a look around yourself if you want to. I'll leave a link in the description. I might look into pixel streaming this later. If you found this commentary useful, please give it a like, subscribe, and maybe leave a comment, and hit the notification bell for more content. Thank you for watching.